Hello, and welcome to another Wednesday edition of Midnight Launch News. I'm David.
And I'm Dan.
And Dan is back. We're so excited. Dan, you went on vacation. You left me for so long.
I did.
I was so sad.
I made a very brief stop in Florida.
Yeah.
You know, Florida's always interesting.
Is it? I wouldn't know. I've never been to Florida. You're just...
Floridians are super liberal with the use of their horns on the road.
Oh, you're such a worldly traveler.
Yeah.
So how did you enjoy globe trotting and going everywhere that you went?
It was good. So I mean, I'll just give background. We basically went on a cruise with my parents for my mom's 60th birthday.
So you were stuck on a ship with your parents?
I was.
How does that even work? I would have jumped off the side of the ship like 2 or 3 hours in. I love you, Mom, if you're listening. I know she listens to some of them. I love you, but I would still probably be like jumping off the side of the ship while waving goodbye and saying, I love you, Mom. Oh my goodness.
Well, I mean, it wouldn't have been terrible if you did that because we stayed close to land quite a bit.
Well, so it was an open bar. Was that what it is? That had to have been what it is.
My parents bought us a drink package because cruise ships don't inherently give you all-inclusive alcohol.
Right. That is unfortunate.
Yeah.
But it's a good thing that you had the drink package.
Yeah.
So did you have a good time? You didn't get like eaten by a shark or stung by a stingray or anything like that?
No, it was good. I mean, the closest I came to marine life was we went snorkeling and the tour operators basically gave us some food to feed the fish with, and they came and swarmed my hands.
No.
That was about it.
Did you get video of that? Because I saw you posted a video, an underwater video.
Oh, I posted a ton of underwater videos. Yeah, so there's a couple of me feeding the fish. Basically, they gave us these like water bottles with the caps, with holes cut in the caps and bread in them. You know, maybe not exactly the best thing for fish to eat, but...
Oh my god, these poor fish are like, come on, man, I'm on the Atkins diet here. Jesus Christ, I'm on low-carb diet and you're giving me bread. Oh,
but yeah, so there were a couple of videos of that, and then so that was all in Aruba, and Aruba has a shipwreck just like, oh god, like very close to land, where a World War II era German freighter was scuttled by her captain after Germany invaded the Netherlands. The Dutch military in Aruba came out to commandeer the ship. The captain was like, nope.
Yep, nope.
And scuttled his ship, and he and his crew basically were taken to Bonaire, which was another island we went to, and they were pretty much just prisoners of war until the end of the war.
That's a great story, Dan.
Yeah.
I love having history lessons.
I know, right?
I love it.
Anyway, so this ship is there. It's sitting in 60 feet of water, which is very, very shallow for a wreck. So yeah, so we went out and snorkeled around it and whatnot, and I have videos of that, and I have videos showing just how close to the surface.
Did you touch the butt?
No.
You did not touch the butt? Come on, man. You gotta touch the butt.
It was shallow enough that if I didn't have issues with my ears, I probably could have dived down and touched part of the hull.
I'm not a huge fan of your ears either. I think they stick out a little bit. I mean,
a little bit.
No, your ears are fine. I love your ears. Yeah. You've got some of the best looking ears I've ever seen on a Canadian.
Oh.
I'm gonna be nice to you for like this one podcast, but then it's back to normal. You know.
Gotcha.
So I mean, you drank, you went swimming. Anything else interesting? Like, did you go to any attractions on the islands or anything like that?
I mean, we went to, there was like this kind of beach thing excursion that we took us to basically kind of this hotel's like beach area.
Okay.
And yeah, that was weird, and the tour operator was a bit of a shit show. And
Did you just like go look at hotels that were on the beach?
no, it was
Like,
we got access to their beach areas, so like to go lounge on their chairs and whatnot. But yeah, it wasn't great. I didn't really enjoy that just because of the way it was set up. So
well, I think you probably ought to post some of those videos on Midnight Launch. You know,
yeah,
because I think they're probably pretty cool. Maybe
yeah, I
the
can
one
post
of the
those.
shipwreck or something like that. Well, everything happened while you were gone.
I heard.
So like, it was funny. You left, and then it was basically a week and a half of silence. And I was like, man, this is easy. Dan's gone. There's not really much going on, so we can just have some really casual news sessions. And then, like, within the last probably 5 days, like, Blizzard drops a ton of things, and then
Right.
Final Fantasy hits, and then a whole bunch of rumors, and then Donald Trump is Donald Trump, and, and all this stuff happens, and I'm like, holy shit, couldn't we have, like, spread this out over the last 2 weeks, so maybe we weren't covering, literally 10 or 12 things today?
Yeah. Basically meaning this is going to be a long episode for anybody listening.
It might be. Well, all of our episodes are pretty long. Let's be completely
True.
honest here.
I mean, I could bust out the alarm again.
No, that is unnecessary. This is not that type of episode.
Okay.
Alarms are unnecessary. But we will go ahead and get started because, like I said, we do have a lot to cover today. So. First off, like, huge news and Overwatch. We had a trailer drop for the new hero, and I'm already, you know what? Her name is not Bridget, but that is what I'm going to be calling her for the rest of the show. Because I cannot pronounce her name. It's like Brigette or Brigitte. No, it's Bridget.
Okay.
So let's go ahead and watch that trailer real quick.
So
I've got that queued up. Oh, I know. And we'll go ahead and take a look at the trailer, and here we go.
In stories, the heroes get the honor and glory. But their gleaming armor, their mighty weapons, the people who built them were heroes in their own right. And I thought I was gonna follow in their footsteps. But a hammer and tools can't fix every problem. There are some things that can never be repaired. It's not enough to wait until the battle is over to fix their armor and bandage their wounds. If you can fight at their side, you can try to keep the blows from falling. And maybe even protect them from themselves. I am Brigitte Lindholm, and I will be their shield.
Yeah! Bridget! Go, Bridget! You're the best, Bridget! We love you! So Bridget coming to Overwatch. What do you think of her so far?
I think it's interesting. I watched a little bit of video of her beforehand. I think her play style is going to be really unique compared to the other heroes, which is odd because she's kind of a mashup of Reinhardt and Torbjorn.
She's definitely a little bit of a mashup. It would make sense that she's a little similar to Torbjorn, since, within the world of Overwatch, she is his youngest daughter, so that makes sense. Let's go over the abilities real quick. She is considered a support role within Overwatch. So she has a flail, which is basic melee attack. What makes it special is it can hit multiple people with a single swing. So that's pretty cool. She has a barrier shield, which is basically a personal size barrier shield. Think Reinhardt's shield just, for one person, that being her, as opposed to for your entire team. She has a shield bash, that is her left shift. So when she has her shield up, but only when she has the shield deployed, she can dash forward to stun an enemy. She has a whip shot, which basically throws her flail, deals damage, and knocks an enemy away from her. She has a repair pack, which I think is pretty interesting. Throws a repair pack, it can heal an ally, and then all of the overhealing actually provides armor, as opposed to just being useless overhealing.
Right.
Looks like that armor will decay over time, so it doesn't like just stay there. Does Torb's armor just stay there? Like
It does.
Okay, so that's how they're differentiating that particular ability. And then I think her passive is really cool. When Bridget, whatever. You say, I'm not even going to try it. I'm not even going to try. It just doesn't work in my head. When
Of
Bridget...
course, I believe that's how it's said. I could be entirely
They
wrong.
say it... You're right. They say it in the little video. The little origin. Because she's like, I am... Brigitte, Torbjorn's last name, and I will protect them or whatever. I'm pretty sure as an American, though, I only hear Bridget. So, strikes an enemy with her flail. All allies within range are healed over time. It's 16 healing per second, which relatively substantial amount of healing.
Yeah.
And then her ultimate ability is Rally, which gives all allies near her armor that lasts until it's removed by damage. It's 30 armor per second, a maximum of 150 armor, and the ultimate ability lasts 10 seconds.
That's substantial. I mean, at that point, you're doubling Tracer's health.
Yeah. It's a really good ultimate.
It's a damage mitigator, essentially.
Yeah, I mean, when you compare it to Zenyatta's ultimate, I mean, obviously not quite as good, because I'm pretty sure Zenyatta's just straight up immunity. Is that correct? Like, or essentially
yes and no.
immunity?
It's basically, it's not. I don't believe it's immunity, but he just heals it so quickly that it might as well be.
Okay, so functionally,
you can still damage. Because that's the thing that I've seen when people play and they're playing, as Zen will pop his Transcendence, people will stop shooting. And I'm like, well, might as well keep shooting and, building up your ultimate.
Right. So, I do
things.
wonder how quickly her ultimate is going to recharge. I think that is going to dictate whether or not it's, a fair ultimate or a good ultimate or a poor ultimate.
Yeah.
The 8-meter radius is really small.
Yeah.
That's a really small radius for an ultimate. At least it feels like it is. So
yeah, I mean,
she does not have a quick melee.
8-meter radius? Well, no, that's not bad. So that's 16,
that's not bad.
16 across, right, from side to side.
Yeah.
So that's not terrible. So going into Imperial units for you there, Dave.
Yeah, it would be helpful.
It's 20. It's basically you said 8 meters.
8 meters.
So like 24 feet.
Okay, that's actually not bad at all.
Yeah.
You see, what is a meter? Why can't they just have feet? Come on, guys. Look, the rest of the world needs to get with the program. Okay, the metric system is so just like 100 years ago. Get out of here. She doesn't have a quick melee, so that's interesting.
Well, one that you said that kind of popped in my head, the flail shot pushing people away. That's almost like a reverse Roadhog.
It is. It is. It's called whip shot. Deals 70 damage.
Oh, whip shot. Yeah.
20-meter range. So
that's substantial.
That's a huge range. 4-second cooldown.
That's
Cannot
pretty good.
headshot. But yeah, it knocks enemies away. I wonder if it interrupts them. I'm not sure.
It probably would.
Yeah, so that
So
could be a very, very strong ability.
it probably won't interrupt casting ultimates. It'll probably just knock them back while they're casting it. That's what I would assume. I could
Right?
be wrong.
I mean, I don't know, like when you push Mercy when she's in her ultimate, like during the cast time, not after she's actually cast it, but when
But
she's in that channel, that interrupts it, I think.
if she gets booped by like
Like
Lucio,
I could be wrong. I'm not sure.
because I know Roadhog, if he hooks you while you're channeling your ultimate, that will cancel it. But that's because it's stunning you.
Hmm.
Oh, did you say that it stuns?
No. It just
Okay,
knocks
so-
an enemy away. It doesn't look like it's a stun. No.
Yeah, I think that's where the difference will be, is because it's not a stun. I don't think. I don't know. We'll have to see.
Well, yeah, we'll
we
have
could
to
go take
see.
a look on the PTR. but-
We could, but by the time she hits live, it will probably get changed. She looks like a cool character. I think stylistically, I like how she's definitely a mix of Reinhardt and Torbjorn. I think they did a really good job. She actually looks a little bit like Aloy, which is something
Yeah,
I
a little
noticed.
bit.
I was like, like if you look at this wiki page, she looks a lot like Aloy from Horizon Zero Dawn. So
Right.
that's pretty cool. You can look forward to seeing Bridget. Oh, I don't know when. Soon, trademarked, or when it's ready.
Which, I mean, it shouldn't be too long because she's already on the PTR. I
Yes,
believe.
she is already on the PTR.
And
People are already
I think
playing
all
with
of
her.
all of those changes we talked about for Sombra, Doomfist, etc. We talked about those before I left on vacation, probably about a week or so, maybe 2 weeks before,
Right.
and those were all out by the time I got back. So
Yeah. So, well, hopefully we will see her soon.
yeah,
Let's actually move on to a little bit more Overwatch news before we go into all the other Blizzard properties, because goodness, we are going to be hitting almost every single one of them today.
yeah.
London Spitfire parts way with their coach. Now, this is your team, right? Like, this is the random team that you chose?
Yeah, just the team that I blindly chose.
Yeah, this is also the team that are Overwatch League Stage 1 champions. I'll go ahead and read this release right now to our listeners. It says, London Spitfire has today parted ways with coach Byom-Jun Bishop Lee. Bishop was instrumental in the formation of the Spitfire lineup, finding two of the world's best Overwatch rosters, GC Busan and Kongdo Panthera, and fusing them into a single unit, which was crowned Overwatch League Stage 1 champions. We would like to thank Bishop for his contributions to London Spitfire and wish him all the best with his future endeavors. Our new coaching structure will be announced in due course. That's a little bit of an odd closing. The new coaching structure will be announced in due course. Oh, well, why? Like,
Yeah,
what happened? That's so weird.
Well, and I mean, and this isn't the first, we'll say, roster kind of change to happen for London as well. They released two of their other players, which at least one of them, I believe, moved to the Dallas Fuel.
Okay.
I'm not sure what happened with the other one because it happened a little while ago, but yeah, it's really weird to break up your team. Now, of course, I don't know how they're handling trades and signings and whatnot. I haven't really looked into it that much. So it could be that after each stage, maybe players and coaches can go to other tems and can be signed to other teams. It's a little bit weird. I would assume that they would sign contracts for an entire season, like how it happens in regular.
It's very
Other sports leagues,
non-specific as to what happened or what caused this. And you kind of wonder, is it something that is like controversial that they're just not wanting to talk about?
Yeah, it's possible.
Or is it really just like, well, the guy didn't want to be coach anymore and he wanted to go home?
And I mean, it
so
could have
on
been
and so
something
forth.
like he was hired to assemble the team, and
Yeah.
that was it.
You know, you would
Right?
think they would say that though.
Yeah,
Like,
you would think. But I mean, coming from like other sports leagues, NFL, NHL, they typically don't talk about details of
that's true.
players or coaches being released when you're in the season.
Yeah.
So if they follow the trend of other, athletic sports leagues, maybe this stuff will get talked about at the end of the season, which I'm not even sure when the end of the full season
I'm sure
is.
there will be rumors about it. Like, I'm sure
Yeah.
we'll figure out sooner than later exactly what happened as to why their coach has left. So do you think this affects London in any way, shape, or form? Like,
It's difficult to say because I really I it's mostly because I've never been coached in playing video games, so it's hard for me to say how much a coach will help.
yeah, I mean,
I guess other than if you consider playing, say, World of Warcraft, and you have your raid leads, and your raid leads would theoretically be coaches.
right. So I mean,
Class-
it seems
class
to me
leads.
like and I don't know. Is this guy this Bjorn June Bishop Lee? Was he also a player?
No,
On the
he
line?
was.
So
he
he
was
is just a
pure
coach.
Yeah.
Are there coaches in the headsets while they're playing these matches? Or is it just the people that are at the computers that have access to the headsets?
I don't know because they only would show Bishop after a round.
Right.
So it could be like, and I would assume that he should be able to talk to them during the matches because, I mean, every other league, athletic league, other than I guess when they're out on the field, they can't really talk to them.
Right. Well, I mean,
But
you always
coaches,
have like
coaches in hockey can yell from the
yeah, I can yell from the bench, and
players'
then
bench, right?
coaches have access to the quarterbacks, through the headset microphone in
Yeah.
football, and then of course in soccer, like there's a whole bunch of yelling in soccer.
Yeah, exactly. So I would assume that they do have access to be able to talk to the players in match.
Yeah, that's something that's really, really interesting because if he can talk to them during the match, then you have to question whether or not there is going to be significant fallout from this, depending on how much or how little he's actually coaching them within the match.
Yeah.
If he can't talk to them, then really all you're looking at is a change in preparation, but you shouldn't really see a huge drop off in actual in-match performance because at that point you already have somebody else calling the shots, so on and so forth. So
Yeah.
I mean,
Well,
we'll
I
see what
guess
happens.
we'll find out at least Friday.
Oh, is that when they're
London
playing again?
Yeah, they play the Boston Uprising on Friday, and then they play the LA.
Oh God, what is the Lion one?
Boston and London,
Gladiators?
huh?
Yes.
Boston and London having a little bit of a tea party. Oh,
I see
historical
what you did
reference.
there.
Oh God, I can be a historian too, Dan. I can be a. No, I can't.
Oh, let's see. Let me look it up and see how they did against them before. I feel like they won against them.
Haven't they won against what was their record in round one?
Oh, actually, Boston beat them.
Oh.
Their first matchup in stage one. Okay. So the weird thing is that the app that I'm using doesn't tell you. Where is it here? It shows you what their stats over the full season are, and not per stage. So right now, London is 10-4, and Boston is 7-7.
Okay. Well, they're doing pretty well. If you're a London fan, I wouldn't worry about it too much. We'll see what happens. If you're a Dallas fan, you're sad no matter what happens.
I mean, Dallas picked up a player from London, so
We did. I'm so glad, you know, we can have your leftovers.
You get our sloppy seconds, right?
Yeah, great.
Yeah, rascal.
That's great. So let's move on from London Spitfire, and this is something that's pretty interesting. So there are rumors based on this right here that Blizzard posted that Diablo III will be coming to the Nintendo Switch. Now, did you see this little tweet that they posted?
I did not. I'll look it up here really quick.
So it's a nightlight of Diablo. And it literally just has somebody flipping the on switch. And the caption is "Sweet Dreams." And it's just that over and over and over again. And everyone's like, Diablo 3, nightlight, what's the person doing? Oh, he's, hitting the switch to turn it on. Diablo 3 switch confirmed. And so, like, it's huge. Everyone's super excited because everyone's like, man, Diablo 3 would make an absolute great game for the Switch. And then, of course, Blizzard reads all of this and sees all of the excitement that this one tweet is generating. And then says, oh, I'm sorry, but at this time, we have no announcement on any plans to bring Diablo 3 to future platforms. And this particular post was just sort of like a community outreach is not the right word. It's certainly not the word they use. But it was just a community engagement post is basically what they said.
It's so funny. So I look up Diablo 3 Switch and under news, and it's like, Diablo 3 is coming. No, it's not. Yes, it is. No, it's not.
Yeah, so Blizzard says no, it's not coming. And they say this shortly after they post this tweet. And the tweet was posted on the 27th. So it was posted, quite a while ago. Yep. And then, like 2 or 3 days ago, we have a Eurogamer report that comes out where Eurogamer is like, yes, they are. So we've got Blizzard posting this tweet hinting that Diablo 3 is coming to Switch. And then we've got Blizzard saying, well, they're not necessarily denying it. They're just saying, we currently don't have any plans to announce Diablo 3 coming to any other platforms. And then we've got Eurogamer saying, they might not be announcing it, but it's definitely happening. Here's the scoop. So, I think it's going to happen. I don't know why you wouldn't bring Diablo 3 to the Switch.
Yeah, I mean, other than porting issues, potentially. I think that would be the only issues, because it'll be a port, right?
There's not going to be any porting issues, let's be honest. As far as Blizzard and their library of video games, there is not really one of them that would create issues getting ported to the Switch. I mean, at least not from a graphical standpoint. All of their games scale extremely well, from the lowest of the low hardware to the top end hardware. And you think about this genre of video games, these hack and slash loot fest video games, where you can get that buzz in like 10 to 15 minutes. Like, you can go kill a boss in 10 to 15 minutes, get a new item, so on and so forth. Perfect for the Switch and what the Switch wants to do with being a portable, a home portable. I don't even know what you would call it because it's sort of unique unto itself. But being able to just play Diablo 3 on the bus or on the train.
Or like the guy on the way back from Toronto.
Yeah, in the plane.
Watching him playing Breath of the Wild and Mario Kart.
Yeah.
And I was like, huh.
Yeah, it's like, it makes sense now.
Yeah.
It makes sense. As a home console, it's kind of like, I have a PS4, I have an Xbox One, don't really need it. as a portable console, you're like, wow, this is so much better than my phone.
Yeah,
exactly. Like you're always like, no, I don't need this. I've got my phone. But let's be honest, most people don't really play video games that much on their phone. I saw this and I was like, huh. My first thought was, why is Diablo 3 not already out on the Switch? And then my second thought was, man, Torchlight would have been an amazing video game for the Switch. Because Torchlight was so colorful. It was the same, just loot fest like you find in Diablo. But I think Torchlight as a title would have translated extremely well from the PC to a portable console like the Switch. Just specifically because of the art style alone. It would have been very readable on a smaller screen. Whereas I do wonder if Diablo 3 is going to be as readable as something like Torchlight would have been. So we'll have to see. Not confirmed. I guess file it under rumor. But I think it's going to happen. I think it's not a question of if, but a question of when.
Right.
All right. So we've touched on Overwatch.
Yep.
We've touched on Diablo. Now we're going to touch on World of Warcraft. World of Warcraft as a druid. I am extremely excited about this. They have released the the models for the new druid forms, and I'm going to put them up on the screen right now. You guys can check them out. We've got the cat form in all of its brilliant colors, which looks nothing like a cat. As someone that mains a feral druid, I'm actually a little bit disappointed with this particular form because I'm excited about the whole dinosaur thing, but the cat form, I am absolutely not digging it.
If it didn't have the tusks, and I get that the tusks are signature of trolls.
I agree.
But I think if it didn't have the tusks and maybe a slightly longer snout.
So why do the tusks need to be like horizontal with the body? Why can't they go vertically down like a saber-toothed tiger or something like that? Because then I'm kind of like,
agreed.
that would have been okay. That kind of takes it from this sort of alien looking cat thing to where if the tusks are vertical, it's like, oh, well, it's obviously a scaly saber-toothed tiger.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
Yeah,
the moonkin form. I don't know that you can call it a moonkin anymore.
Yeah, I don't know.
But
again with the tusks.
the tusks are weird. I think the tusks are a little bit more appropriate, at least on the moonkin form.
But it's weird. When do you see a bird with tusks? When do you see a lizard bird? Right? This is a weird mashup between a lizard and a bird. I get, birds evolved from dinosaurs.
I don't know, Dan. It's World of Warcraft. When do you see, dwarves and gnomes and...
Fair enough. But again, it's the friggin' tusks. Why with the tusks?
So it looks like an Auriok back in BC.
It kind of looks like they're higher form from Warlords of Draenor.
Yeah, it's an interesting look.
Yeah.
I've never really been a fan of playing Moonkin, but I think it's a pretty cool look.
I guess I like it purely because they have never done any upgrades to the Moonkin form, and it drives me up the wall that they haven't.
They haven't.
Other than the weird translucent starfall kind of thing,
right?
That you'll see, but for the most part, they really haven't updated their form. They didn't update them in Legion because the Scythe of Elune, you could see them holding it.
Right.
So, yeah, basically, they updated it a little bit when Worgens got Druid.
But not a huge update.
Yeah.
So,
When the Worgans and the trolls got druids, they
so
did them a little bit. They just played with the color palette, right? And that was it.
what do you think of Turtle Bear?
You know what? I don't mind the idea of the turtle.
I love Turtle Bear.
Yeah.
Turtle Bear makes me want to go Guardian. I absolutely love Turtle Bear.
I don't mind it.
I
think it's better than the feral, personally, but
so it's still, I don't know if this is the right way to say this, but it still reads as a Guardian Druid. I mean, you look at it and you're like, oh, well, that's a Guardian Druid. Whereas when you look at the feral one, you look at it and you're like, oh, that's a mob that you fight somewhere. Like, I don't know what that is.
Agreed.
And to a similar extent, I would say even the Moonkin form doesn't necessarily read as Moonkin form. But
it's such a big departure. It's, Moonkins are big and fluffy.
Yeah, but I definitely think this Guardian form reads as a Guardian Druid. And it just reads bear form through and through. I think it's cute and ferocious. And I'm a huge fan of turtles. And this is just something I'm looking forward to being able to play as. But I don't know if it's enough to get me to race change. I don't know if any of this is enough to get me to race change.
No,
so
we'll have to see. What's considering that I just re-rolled my druid to High Mountain Tauren.
Yeah. And then we have the flight form, which is a pterodactyl.
Yep.
Basically, with tusks.
With tusks and earrings on its head spine thing, and like a spacer.
I think it's pretty cool. I like it.
I'm digging it.
I definitely like it more than the troll bat form.
Agreed.
God, I hate the troll bat form. I'm one of those guys that has the glyph that turns you into an owl because I cannot stand looking at the troll bat form while I'm flying around.
Well, it's just so weird because bats are more synonymous with the undead, right?
Yeah, well, and it's just ugly. Look, if you're a big fan of a bat, more power to you. I have nothing against real life bats, but I don't want to be staring at a bat when I'm playing World of Warcraft and flying around, which, as you know, if you play, is something you tend to do a lot, especially as a druid, since you can just instant shapeshift into flight form and off you go.
Exactly.
And then we have possibly what is the coolest form, in my opinion at least, is the travel form, which, let's just call it what it is. It's a raptor.
Oh, yeah. It's awesome. I love it.
It's awesome looking, but, you're right again, man. The tusks.
I know.
Like,
the tusks are everywhere.
They don't look like they need to be smaller. Like,
agreed.
It completely wrecks the silhouette of the head.
Yeah.
Like if you were to just take out all of the detail and make it a silhouette, the tusks would make it almost unreadable. And
again, if you did vertical, like coming from the upper mouth, and long vertical tusks, like what we were talking with the feral druid, that would look a lot better.
I completely agree. I think they're going. I think it's a little too toothy, bro. Too toothy. But we will see.
I mean, I think the reason why they did those tusks everywhere is because it does signify that it is a Zandalari druid,
right?
As opposed to just a regular mob.
I guess
that's the only thing I can come up with. So they're like, no, these look too weird. They look too generic. We need something that ties them all together.
It's
tusks. It is.
It's a little bit weird to see such a focus on racial identity for the druid form.
Well, but I mean the Tauren druids, both regular and High Mountain, I mean they've got various horns on all of their whether it's bull horns or with the new high mountain, they get the moose horns, right?
They do.
So, but
They
they're also a
certainly
lot
do.
more subdued. They're much more subdued than these
Yeah,
tusks.
it's not nearly as in your face.
Yeah.
Overall, as a druid, I'm excited to see all these new forms. The feral druid form is pretty much a pass for me. And as someone that mains a feral druid, means I probably will not be race changing, because I don't want to be stuck in that feral druid form whenever I'm playing.
Yeah.
But I might just have to roll up another druid for and you know, I've still got that boost because I haven't actually purchased the expansion yet. So
I've got the boost available. I've been trying to figure out a character I want to use it on.
I like I said, I don't have mine yet, but I've tried to think about what character do I want to make when I actually use it, and I can't pick one.
Yeah.
Like it's not that there's so many classes that are good that I can't choose one. It's more like, well, you know, I've got my shaman, I've got my druid. I don't really want anything else.
Yeah, I mean, basically to this point, you've probably leveled all the characters that you want to have max level.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
it's hard to be. I think, you know what's the weird thing is right now, if it was a boost to 100, I think I'd be more ready to use it.
Mm-hmm.
More specifically on a character I haven't played a ton.
Right.
You know, say a warrior or something, because I have that leveling through Legion that I can use to get myself acclimated to the new character. But going straight to 110,
Yeah.
it's almost like, well, what's the point in even doing it now?
Yeah.
You know, at this late stage of the game.
I'm glad they're still giving us like character boosts for free when we buy the expansion, because that obviously that adds value to the purchase, and that's a great thing. But I think the value of that, at least for the veterans, you know, the people that have been playing from day one, it just kind of keeps going down and going down. And at this point, a lot of us are kind of like, well, great, I get another priest. I mean, if it's someone like Darcy, you know, she already has 5 or 6. What's she gonna do with her 7th priest? I hope she hears this. But yeah, we'll see. Maybe when the new expansion releases, or once we've seen some more of the changes, more of the class reworks, you'll have a better idea of what you want, and then you can choose what to use. All right, let's move on to StarCraft. All right, we keep on going, hitting all the games. StarCraft 20th anniversary. Tons of in-game giveaways for the StarCraft Anniversary.
Yep.
So first off, I think the biggest news, which was kind of separate from this, is, and this is actually, we're going to touch on Warcraft here a little bit, but this goes into sort of the Blizzard RTSs as a whole. So Warcraft, was it Warcraft 3 or Warcraft 2 got a patch recently? And then StarCraft, they announced a new tournament. And Blizzard did the StarCraft Remastered recently. And they gave away a whole bunch of expansions for StarCraft 2. They are really pushing their old RTS games in a way that we have never seen before.
Oh yeah, well, I mean, hell, just all this stuff coming out for StarCraft 2 actually had me load up StarCraft 2 again today and start playing it. I don't know for nostalgia's sake or what, but
I like it how they're taking some of their older titles and they're kind of just like trying to reintroduce them to the people that might have been brought in from, you know, like Overwatch or from Hearthstone and from all of their other properties. because these are some really great games, and I'm definitely not going to say they're forgotten because they've still got very active fan bases.
Yes.
But there are also still a ton of people that have never played them, and I'm glad to see they're getting some love. Let's talk about what you can get for the 20th anniversary of StarCraft. You've got a battlecruiser pet for Diablo III. That looks pretty cool. You have a Kerrigan ghost skin for Widow in Overwatch.
That's pretty
cool. Dan likes it. Dan likes the ghost skin.
Kerrigan. I always loved Kerrigan.
You get... Go ahead.
And it's Widow skin.
It is. It is.
Widow. Yeah.
You can play... Oh man, what was the Blizzard game gonna be that had...
You mean Nova?
Nova. Oh, but she's a separate character, right?
Yes.
She was...
They used a similar skin to build the Kerrigan skin off of.
That's right. Right. So there is a 20th anniversary UI skin for StarCraft Remastered. You get a special UI skin for each race on StarCraft 2. For World of Warcraft, you can get a Salute to StarCraft Feat of Strength if you salute a Zergling, a Grunty, a Mini-Thor, a Baneling, or a Zeradar. For Heroes of the Storm, you get a 20th anniversary portrait for the Protoss, the Terran, and the Zerg. And then for Hearthstone, you get a StarCraft-inspired Tavern Brawl, and you receive 3 Kobolds in Catacombs packs. So they are pulling out all the stops for the 20th anniversary of StarCraft.
Yep.
And I'm excited. I'm not a huge fan of StarCraft, but I know a lot of people are. So I'm glad to see them, giving treats to everyone, basically.
Yeah, exactly.
Makes me miss Westwood Studios, though. And Red Alert. I will be honest, because Red Alert was the last RTS that I played a lot of, and every time I hear stuff about like StarCraft, I'm just like, man, I would really love a new Red Alert. That game was awesome.
It's not gonna happen because EA has driven Command and Conquer straight into the ground.
Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. Final Fantasy 15. As if you follow our YouTube channel, you probably know it has released on the PC. I've only posted a ton of videos about it, and thus far, the reception has been surprisingly positive. Performance on the PC has been extremely solid. They have given us tons of settings to tweak, and so on and so forth. And you can get it for $39.99 right now on GOG. Okay. And it includes the base game and the season pass, which includes 4 different DLCs, including a multiplayer DLC called Comrades, which is almost like Monster Hunter meets Final Fantasy 15. It's actually really interesting. You make your own character, and then you go on missions similar to what you do in Monster Hunter, and you get new items, and you upgrade your gear, and you make new gear. So that's, it's really interesting. And then they have added new scenes to the actual video game, to the story mode within the video game, to sort of flesh out the story more, which is something they have been doing since it came out. Square Enix has taken a very active approach towards continued development of Final Fantasy 15, and they have continued to tweak the single player game. I mean, not just the multiplayer Comrades expansion, but they've continued to tweak the single player game since release, and they've made tons of changes. So if you have an amazing PC, even if you played Final Fantasy 15 when it first came out, you might want to check out the Windows edition. It's a lot of fun. We've got some video on our channel. They also released the mobile edition of Final Fantasy 15 about a month ago. We have a video of that as well. And I'm super excited to just jump right back into Final Fantasy 15, man. I'm really excited.
Nice.
Have you bought it, right?
And have subsequently traded it in.
And traded it in. Didn't play through it.
I had a hard time staying interested in it, so.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely not for everyone. It's, in my opinion, it is a game that absolutely benefits from going from 30 FPS to 60 FPS, which isn't necessarily, I mean, obviously as a blanket statement, every game is going to benefit from going from 30 to 60 FPS. There isn't really a game out there where you're going to be like, oh man, the experience suffers because you get more frames per second. But among the genres, RPG tends to be one of those genres where you're like, well, that probably doesn't really matter that much. What is the text going to show up more quickly? Like, oh man, that text at 60 frames per second. But the sort of the real time, the active battle system within Final Fantasy 15 really benefits from that 60 FPS. Your parries, teleporting all over the place, everything just feels so much more smooth. It feels like the game it should have been when it came out, and the game that we never got on consoles, despite Square Enix saying that, yeah, we're going to try to get a 60 frames per second release on the PS4 Pro. We're going to try to do it on the Xbox One X. What we ended up getting was like 40 to 50 frames per second. Well, now if you've got the hardware, you can get that 60 frames per second.
Right.
So, good stuff. Let's move on. So much stuff to cover. Monster Hunter. I'm throwing this one in there. I know it wasn't on the list that I sent you. Hits its most significant sales record yet. Are you ready for this, Dan?
Okay.
7.5 million shipped. Makes it the best-selling Capcom game ever. Best-selling game ever.
Huzzah!
Mega Man, Street Fighter, Resident Evil, whatever. Get out of here. Time to bow to the new king. Monster Hunter. Let's go, Dan. When are you picking it up?
Whenever you get it on Xbox.
Whenever I get it on Xbox. Moving on. Oh, we have a couple rumors that have come out over the next few days. Obviously, as they are rumors, they're unconfirmed. First one though, Grand Theft Auto 6 to be set in Vice City in South America, and to feature the first female lead character, and we might get to see it sometime around 2022.
Wow.
2022.
I didn't hear it. I'm not exactly surprised because they're still making bank off of GTA Online right now.
Right. Well, and I mean, you see what they've done with Grand Theft Auto 5. I mean, this game has had a massive shelf life. When did the first version of it come out?
On the 360.
Yeah.
That's what I can tell you. It got a second edition on the Xbox One and PS4.
The initial release date for Grand Theft Auto 5 was 2013.
Yeah, so 5 years ago.
5 years ago.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and it's still on like the number one, or the top 10 sales list for video games. Like, it is just constantly within the top 10.
It's bonkers. But I mean, it does make sense that it'll take that long because they're still working to get Red Dead Redemption 2 out, which is supposed to be out this year.
Yeah,
I believe it was this year.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's supposed to be out sometime this year.
Yeah.
And they've already said that they are going to take a similar approach to Red Dead Redemption 2 as they did with GTA 5, where they have a large online mode for the game that they're constantly going to be updating. They're constantly going to be releasing more content for.
I remember playing the online mode for the original Red Dead Redemption with friends.
Yeah, so
and it always devolved into all of us shooting each other.
I mean, good fun, good clean fun. Kill your friend.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what we've been doing in video games since forever. I mean, so I can see 2022 as much as I don't want to say it. I mean, GTA 5 years. Let's say you get another 5 years for Red Dead Redemption 2. Maybe 3 or 4 years for Red Dead Redemption 2. That puts you with GTA 6 somewhere around 2022. Now, this comes from a quote-unquote inside source at The Know. I don't know if
I don't know The Know.
You've watched The Know. They're basically a video game news show on YouTube. I think they're great. I watch them all the time. They're one of the few channels that I am subscribed to. They do like daily news podcasts, and then they've got sort of like a weekend show called Glitch Please, which is a longer, like hour and a half long show. So they do some amazing stuff. But take this with a grain of salt. Anytime you get something from an inside source, no matter who you are, it's always a risk to report on it. So, like I said, just take it with a grain of salt and we'll see what happens. And moving on from GTA 6, because we are at 56 minutes, but we're almost done. We're not even almost done. Oh my goodness. James Harden. Do you know who this James Harden character is?
Yeah.
I mean, he's only like one of the best basketball players right now.
I mean, I don't even watch basketball, and I know James Harden. So.
He has supposedly leaked the, oh my gosh, help me out here.
The logo for
Black Ops 4. Thank you. I cannot do hour-long podcasts. My goodness. So he was wearing a hat on his way to one of his basketball games, and ESPN picked it up, and it looks a lot like a logo for Black Ops 4. And
it does. and if it isn't one for Black Ops 4, then whoever made that hat might be getting a letter.
What would it be? I mean, like, what else could it be?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it could just be some random brand of something, but I don't know why James Harden would be wearing it. I didn't even know that he was.
It certainly could be.
Like, I mean, has it been confirmed anywhere that he is in Black Ops 4?
I mean, we don't even know if Black Ops 4 is a thing, so it has definitely not been confirmed that he's in Black Ops 4. It has not been
confirmed, but it is like all but confirmed.
Sure, I mean, like, it's one of those known secrets. It's one of those things where you go to a family function and nobody talks about it, but it's there, and it just makes everyone feel really uncomfortable. Yes, we know it's definitely gonna happen.
Yes.
But we don't know if James Harden is in it. But according to a lot of sources, this year's Call of Duty is going to be Black Ops 4. And according to some sources, this is the logo for Black Ops 4. And basically what they're saying is, as opposed to Roman numerals, they're like hash marks. You always see like people that are inside a jail cell and they're, marking down the days that they've been in there on the wall. And it's I, and then slash I slash so on and so forth.
Well, I mean, if you look at the Black Ops III logo, it's not, the lines aren't perfectly symmetrical across. They've got little indents on the left and right side.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean that's where it lends some credence to.
Right.
Yeah.
So we'll have to see. I mean, obviously, you in particular love pretty much everything Call of Duty.
Let's not go that
Oh,
far.
do we need to walk
but
it back
I
a little
do-
bit? Do we need to
I
walk it
do-
back? Okay.
I
Alright.
do. I specifically love Black Ops. I love the Black Ops franchise, we'll call it. 'cause
Right.
Sub franchise.
Sure.
I love that one a lot. Black Ops 3 a little less, but I will most certainly pre-order any Black Ops title.
Right. Well, they're saying PS4, Xbox, PC, and coming to Nintendo Switch.
Yeah.
We'll see about that. I mean, I'm sure it is, but we'll see to what extent it is, Black Ops 4 or it's some sort of cut down sort of Switch version, because they've done that on Nintendo consoles
they did it on
before.
The Wii U, didn't they?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
We'll see. Oh my goodness, we're almost done. Last topic, and I have a feeling we're going to talk about this one for a little bit of a time. Donald Trump. Obviously, we know what happened in Florida. And Donald Trump is now going to have a meeting with the quote-unquote heads of the video game industry.
Which, by the way, the heads have not been invited as of yet.
Well, they got invited on Monday.
Oh, did
so
they?
their
They finally
invitation
did? Okay.
finally got there. The White House communications director, whatever her name is, announced this meeting, I want to say like last Tuesday or last Wednesday. And then the ESA, the Entertainment Software Association, is like, we haven't gotten any invitation to a meeting with Donald Trump. We don't know who he's going to be talking to as far as video games are concerned, but it's certainly not us. And then they finally get their invite on Monday. And they're like, okay, well, yeah, we'll absolutely go ahead and go. And they're gonna talk about video games, I guess, and the age-old question as to whether or not video games create violence, and so on and so forth. First thoughts from you on that?
It's pure deflection.
Yeah.
That's all it is. I mean, I don't know. Like, why are we going to continue talking about do video games cause kids to become violent when there have been numerous studies that have shown there to be 0 to extremely minimal
Correlation
between playing violent video games and kids being violent in general. So it's just it's dumb, it's a deflection.
I have a little bit of, at least from a perspective of a gamer, what I would consider to be a little bit of an unorthodox opinion on this. I do believe links between violence and video games, and quite frankly media in the whole, and the effect that they have on developing children, is something that we should remain cognizant of, and is something that should have ongoing studies, because I do believe at some point video games and the sort of interactive media that we have access to and our children are going to have access to, it's going to get to a place where it is so realistic that what was true when we were playing Mario or we were playing an old Call of Duty and how it affected us might not be true of playing, the newest version of that game sometime in the far future, just because of how realistic the game is going to be or how realistic the experience feels.
Sure. And sorry, go on.
So I think it's something that we should constantly be looking at. But I also don't think we need to have meetings with the president when there's absolutely nothing to talk about because nothing new has been found out.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
It's just, look, there at this point, we have some questions and, sort of American politics and American culture, American gun culture specifically, that there just aren't really any answers for. And it has been popular, and apparently it will always be popular to scapegoat the video game industry.
Yeah.
Maybe that's because it's the newest industry, and whereas with books and movies and TV, you have, either hundreds of years of historical records to say that it doesn't affect violence, or as with movies and TVs, I think it's closer maybe like 80 years or longer than that. I'm not absolutely sure, but obviously with video games it's closer to 30 years, somewhere around there. So I mean, I guess it's the thing you pick on if you have to pick on something to, like you said, to kind of deflect the attention from what you could do and your position of power in order to create change. But God, I can't believe we're about to go through this again.
Yeah, I mean, so here's my thing at the end of the day. If you're a parent and you're concerned about your child playing violent video games, then talk with your child. Look at the games that they're playing. Look at the boxes. There are so many tools. You can put in parental controls on your consoles. There are so many things that you as a parent can do.
I think
but it just basically, I mean, now I'm coming from not being a parent perspective and looking at other kids. So of course there's going to be issues with that, because I don't have the experience of dealing with kids who are playing said games other than maybe my nephew.
Right. Well, I mean, and it just seems like you have the parents that grew up on video games.
Yeah.
That understand the sort of content that can be contained within. And these parents, for the most part, they take an interest in what their kids are doing in terms of video games, not just in general, but in terms of video games, maybe because they themselves still have an active interest within video games, or they understand the sort of content that you can find within. But then you also have the parents that, didn't grow up playing video games. And this is, sort of a personal experience. I was at GameStop the other day. And I was just like, wasting time because my wife was at Tum Thum, and I'm always all like, which is a grocery store for those that don't know. I'm like, all right, Ann, drop me off at GameStop. I'm going to go waste some time. And I saw this lady walk in with her son. Her son had to have been, 7 or 8 years old. And walks up to the counter, and her son pre-orders Red Dead Redemption 2. And
which is just bonkers.
And she's just like, she pays the guy at the counter. The guy at the counter didn't say anything, and I really wanted to be like, do you know what your kid is ordering? Yeah. Like, do you know what this video game is? Because this video game is nudity, this video game is violence, this video game is sexual situations, this video game is foul language, as much as, I mean, who knows what else is in the new Red Dead Redemption 2. But it's definitely going to include all 4 of those and maybe more. So I think, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, and basically what this gets me going on is the ESRB, or just some governing body, needs to start handing out fines, essentially, for retailers that... Now, of course, this only works with brick and mortar stores, but they need to start fining these places. Now, in that specific case, kid as a parent can't really do much about that, other than...
No, but you can inform the parent. I mean, you can make sure the parent knows what their kid is buying. And yes, GameStop might lose a couple sales here and there, rightfully so. But you know what else they're going to do is they're probably going to pick up business from those same parents that are going to say, man, this guy at this GameStop was super honest with me. He helped me make, he helped me not make a mistake in purchasing a game that was not appropriate for my child. So I'm going to send all of my business. I'm going to take my kid over there to get a video game that maybe is appropriate for my kid. And of course, that's not to say anything that it does for the video game industry, and that we end up not in this situation where we have to try to defend these video games themselves, as opposed to parents taking responsibility.
Well, and I mean, like, God, going back probably like 15 years ago, I remember going to an HMV, and well, it's probably longer than 15 years ago. Basically, whenever it was one of Eminem's albums came out,
Mm-hmm.
it was probably the Marshall Mathers.
Marshall Mathers
album.
LP.
Yeah,
Yes,
the
sir.
LP. It was probably that one. And I remember basically same situation. This mother comes in with a kid who is maybe 10 years old and picks up the CD, goes up, and now to this clerk's credit, he said, "You realize that this has explicit content in it. It has violent lyrics."
Mm-hmm.
And the mother was like, "Yeah, I know." And I was like, "Are you? No."
Oh goodness. So
Yeah.
talking about old albums and being young, and we're just gonna kind of I want to tell this story. So I got Papa Roach's Last Resort back when I was a teenager, and my mom heard me listen to it, and she threw away the CD, and I absolutely hated her for it. But the lyrics in there, I mean, let's be honest, it had, some explicit language, had some foul language in it. And she was doing what a good mom does, right?
Yep.
She was taking that active role in her child's upbringing and saying, okay, you know what? This particular sort of media crosses a line. And I'm willing to bet, had the person that sold me the CD told her what that little label meant on there, and how explicit the lyrics could have been, she would have just said, okay, well, no, let's buy something else instead.
Yeah. Well, similar story. I remember back when Doom was like the big game,
mm-hmm.
The big first person shooter. My parents they saw me playing it and they're like, no.
Yeah. No.
You're too young to play this. Uninstall it. Which I did, and then promptly reinstalled it a little bit later. But I understood the point of, no, this is not something that I should be emulating.
Right.
Which is so funny because if you look back at Doom now, like the original Doom these days, that is such a tame game.
You can't even tell what's happening. It's pixels shooting pixels at this point.
Exactly. But that's parents taking an active role.
Yes.
In their child's interests.
I mean, it's weird to be in that position where, as an adult, as a young adult, or I guess we're technically not young adults anymore.
Yeah.
But as a younger adult, you can see that you've gone from the point where you're like, God, I wish mom would just leave me alone and let me do what I want to do, to, God, I'm so glad that my mom or my dad was taking an active role in my parenting and looking at these video games I was playing and so on and so forth, and wishing that more parents would do the same thing.
Yep.
I think it's important for the video game industry that parents, take this active role. And I think, quite frankly, if we can kind of bring it back all the way around to the reason that this meeting is happening, which is another one of these shooting tragedies here in the US, you have to wonder how many of these would have been prevented not had their parents not let their children buy a certain video game, but had their parents taken more active roles within the parenting of these children.
Yeah, and I think that's ultimately what it comes to at the end.
It's definitely one of the things.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say it's the only thing, and I certainly don't want to make it sound like I am questioning the parenting of the children that commit these atrocities across the board, because that would certainly be unfair for me to do. I don't have any information about that, so I would not know.
True enough.
But I definitely think it's one of the things that you have to look at when you're trying to figure out what is going on. And I think video games are, like I said, maybe one of the things you look at, but not until you actually have some reason to start looking at them and being like, oh, we are actually seeing a correlation. Because like you said earlier, there are plenty of studies that have been done on this.
Yeah.
And none of them have found a causal link between violence and video games. Quite the opposite. Multiple studies have found basically therapeutic links between
it's a form of catharsis.
video games and children and violence and so on and so forth. So this whole meeting, man, what is God? I don't even we can't even talk about this without getting political, which is unfortunate because I would love to kind of be able to dig into this a little bit more, but I can't. I'm sorry. Oh my God. I'm like digging my nails into my desk just trying to keep my mouth shut right now. So let us move on, because we are at an hour and 15 minutes, which is by far the longest one of these we have ever done. But it is a Dan is back midnight launch news. Finally, he's back. What are you going to be posting on the channel over the next couple weeks? Are you going to continue like swimming around, or you have any other thoughts as to what you're going to be doing?
I've done some of those Subnautica videos. They're not really gaining too much traction, so I'm not sure if I'm going to continue doing them.
I mean, like I'm doing some Final Fantasy 15 videos. I figure it takes absolutely no work whatsoever for me to hit record and then for me to post it up on YouTube.
Yeah,
so,
certainly.
I mean,
I think that's just a thing I have to get over, is do it because I enjoy doing it, not because I'm trying to get views.
I absolutely agree. Well, you know what? We are so close to getting monetized under this new YouTube monetization system. Dan, look, you're bringing the channel down, brother. All right, I need you to drive more views, because I want some of that YouTube money, brother. Come on, man, show me that YouTube money.
Maybe once Brigette finally makes it to the public servers, I'll do some videos playing as Brigette.
Who is Brigette? What are you talking about?
Brigette. You know Brigette.
What is that, like a bread? Is that a French bread?
Say her name, Dave.
Oh, Bridget.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think she's on the PTRs. We'll have to figure that out.
Yeah, I tend to stay away from PTRs, but...
Well, so once she goes live, we'll have some videos. All right, guys and gals. Well, thank you so much for spending your evening with us. I know it was a long one, but I still hope you guys enjoyed it. We have comments, places where you can post comments down below. So you should probably hit us up if you want to. But otherwise, guys, this has been David.
And Dan.
And we will talk to you guys later. I'm going to bed.